Hey guys, it's Esme, and that is my son. As soon as I start talking, he starts making noise. It's not even intelligible noise, he just wants to make noise with me. So anyway, I'm going to attempt to do this review. This is going to be for SPFBO, Andrew Piazza's A Song for the Void. So I knew a little bit about this going into it, and I was super excited. There were a few things I was really rooting for within this batch, but this one in particular kind of caught my attention, and I was hoping that I'd get a chance to read it. I didn't think I'd be able to read it. If it wasn't a finalist, I didn't think I'd have time, so I was so super stoked when I got picked. And wow, did it deliver! So Lucas had said over on Fantasy Book Critic, said that this was like one of his favorite reads of last year, and so I was just super pumped. This is about it's a cosmic horror mixed with the Opium Wars in China, and it is just so unique and unto its own. I've never read anything like this for SPFBO in all of my batches, like in everything, all the finalists and all of my my raw batches, like nothing has been like this before, and I was just so excited. So it follows the story of a doctor who basically, the big theme of this is trauma. This is a dark book, so just to let you know, this will not be for everybody. Basically every content warning you can think of applies to this book. Sexual assault, gore, just fucking loss, just everything. So if that's not gonna be your cup of tea, I totally get it. I usually don't enjoy books like this, but there is just something about the writing that set it apart, and I'll just explain in the review, I guess. So we follow the story of a doctor who's running from his trauma. So it's very common in this age, like 1800s, I forget specifically when, but it's during the Opium Wars, if you want to look up what the dates are for that. So his wife has died. This isn't really a spoiler. His wife died many years ago, and so giving birth to his child. I don't remember if it was a son or a daughter. And so, that was obviously extremely traumatizing. He had a good marriage. He was very in love with his wife, and it fucks with him to this day. And so he ran from that trauma into the military, which is a terrible idea. If you don't want to be traumatized anymore, don't go into the military. So he went into the military, got traumatized even more, and became an addict. So, he went over into the wars during the Opium Wars, and a lot of people became addicted during that time. So they would seize things from the pirates and then sometimes indulge themselves. So it had a lot of pretty gritty just aspects to human behavior. Like, this is really a study of how dark human desires and just our worst aspects of ourselves. So what ends up happening is, right in the beginning, again, this really isn't a spoiler, right in the beginning, this weird star shows up in the sky, and the doctor's like, I got a bad fucking feeling about this star. He looks at it, and it just gives him this feeling of existential dread, of just horror, of malice, of hate. Like, it's weird. And none of the this is sailing in the 1800s, like, you gotta know your stars, and they're like, we don't know what that is. Some people are writing it off as a tailless comet, but right there you get this sense of foreboding, and the way it's written is just the tone and the atmosphere is just thick, and it's just so well done. And it just gives you this sense of anticipation and dread, and it builds and it builds, and like it starts out super slow, and then it just crescendos into madness. Like, the end of this book is just, I was sitting there, I listen to these on TTS, text to speech, because I can't read. I have no fucking time. It's like the theme of my life right now. So I listen to these things on Moby on my TTS, which makes it sound like a GPS narrator, but like, I have no fucking time. So that's how the story was delivered, and I was still just like on the edge of my seat, like, what the fuck is this? So like, this entity drives people insane. Where it's like an Event Horizon, except instead of a spaceship, you're on a wooden ship. And people are fucking high on opium and they're hallucinating and they're murdering each other. And I'm like, what is this? So, oh my God, this book. The characters were fantastic. Like, they all felt like super real. Just everything about this was just great. The dialogue was great. The delivery, the pacing was great. Like I said, it started off really slow, so be prepared for that. But it builds and builds and builds and crescendos. It doesn't lag in the middle, like when you're waiting for something. It's intentional, and you feel it, and it feels like an orchestra crescendo. Like, it's just fucking amazing. So, okay. I don't even know how to tell you why I didn't give it a 10 out of 10. Let me see if there's other stuff I should be talking about before I give a spoiler. I'm going to tell you about the spoiler, and then you can pause. The world building, it's ours. This is a historical fiction. I can't tell you how genuine it is. I am not a historian. I dib and dab occasionally in history nonfiction, but this is an area with a blank space. I don't really have anything on this. I do want to read more about it now. It has absolutely sparked my imagination and my curiosity, and I want to go and read more about this time period and these people. But I can't tell you how accurate this is. It feels accurate. That's all I can tell you. So what else? The descriptions are great. So I usually tell people I can't visualize things. This is one of those few instances where I could. Everything, I just had a head movie the entire time, and that is so rare. Okay. Trying to figure out any more spoiler stuff before I start talking about it. Okay, no, so let me just give the score, and then I'll talk about the spoilers later about why this wasn't a 10 out of 10. And the score is 9 out of 10. All right. So I really enjoyed this. I really want people to give it a try. I believe it's standalone. I am pretty sure. I'm like 90% sure this is standalone. It feels standalone. Like maybe you could write more in this world. But no, I don't think so. I think it's just done. Sorry about that. Anyway, so go pick it up if you have any interest. And now I'm going to talk about the spoilers. So pause it if you don't want to hear it, because it's big. It's about the ending. Okay. Hope you're done. Okay. So at the very end of the dialogue this entire time has just been so authentic. The characters have been so authentic. Everything has been nuanced and layered, and I was like, oh my God, am I going to drop a 10? And then the ending. It has a villain monologuing, explaining the entire plot. And I was like, that ruins the mystery. Like, it's just, I was so taken aback. I read it a few times, and I was like, what? Is this really how it ended? I could have possibly dropped it even a 1.5. Like, I am dead fuck serious that this was going to be a 10 up until like the last 10 or 15 pages. And it has this, so that star turned out to be an alien entity, and it gets in your brain, and when you smoke opium, you're basically like opening up a connection to like let it into your head and like fuck with you, and the more opium you smoke, the more it gets in your head. And like, it was this fascinating, unbelievable, like awesome thing. And then this alien thing monologues in like this mustache twirly ha 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 kind of way to our main character. I still think you should read it. I gave it a 9 out of 10. I mean, I hope that if you're watching this, you've already read it. But if you're one of those people like myself who watches spoilers anyway, you know, it is what it is. Anyway, I have had so much fun with this competition this year. I've already released my lowest score, I think. Pretty sure. So everything is just going to be pretty positive. I mean, 6.5 isn't even all that negative. I mean, that I still recommended people pick it up. It wasn't like I was upset about my 6.5. Like, that's still a good score. So yeah, this was amazing, and I highly recommend it.